have the peaceful protesters that just want to walk and just say, hey, you know what? I've been influenced by Martin Luther King. I believe in what he says.
Right.
But at the same time, you can't think that by like the civil rights movement didn't happen because he made a speech. Like we constantly see the speech with the 200,000 people around, but it took years and years. It takes effort.
Yeah.
It takes logic, reasoning. It takes debate. It takes discourse.
Yeah.
It's not going to be by breaking down stuff.
Yeah.
And just to bring it back to like what I was saying with your kid, if he really believes for something, you never want to discourage somebody who's very like motivated, right? But at the same time, you want to see where the logic is, because if he can't explain himself, he shouldn't be out rioting.
Right.
You shouldn't be out protesting if you can't explain it to me in simple English. Why are you going out there, and what do you want to achieve, and what is the outcome? You shouldn't be out there.
So what's your approach? Do you as a parent sit down and have that discussion with your kids to try to explain to them what's going on, give them your side of the story? Do you try to sway them away from doing something that you wouldn't do, or do you still want them to go do it but to have an understanding of what's at stake?
Is that for me or George?
Whatever, anyone.
Well, what really isn't what comes first, right?
Sorry?
You want to diffuse it. It's not going to be based on what you want as a parent.
Well, look, assuming of course that your kid is going to a peaceful march, okay? Let's just start from there, okay? Obviously, if he's going with a hammer and a gas mask, and you catch him,
it's not a good sign.
Yeah, I would tie my kid up and beat him up in the house or something. You know what I mean? It's like, where are you going with this shit? You know, like it's not happening. You know, but assuming that it's a peaceful protest, and maybe they're learning about civil rights movements in their class, in their history class, or in their environment class, or they're learning about pollution or whatever, greenhouse gas effects, and they were present in the big demonstration that happened, in the big march that happened here in Montreal. When was it? Earlier this year or last year? What do you do? Do you sit down and tell your kid, listen, man, what's going on? You want to go to this demonstration? What do you know? What do you know about Black Lives Movement? Have you, do you have that conversation to understand where he or she really stands and why they feel like they want to be engaged in this movement? Or do you just ignore it and say, you know what, just go, don't worry, you'll learn? What's your take? What's your stance? And
it goes back to George, it's what we said before. If he's just going to go on television or on a university or whatever, on a platform, and have an adult tantrum without saying much, then there's nothing there. If he's able to go there and actually make sense and talk about stuff and really state some facts, reason, use his logic, give a solution, say how people get together to fix the problem, then yeah, go for it. But I find if I raise the kid as an anarchist, I think I failed.
Right. And
I'm not saying anarchy shouldn't exist. There's a big Marxist anarchist movement going on now. Like Marxism is resurfacing. I think there's no point to trying to control everything. But one day you should be able to sit down, have a conversation with an anarchist and trying to convince him on your side.
Yeah.
That's the whole power of influence and persuasion to the right side. Because ideally you want something moral and ethical. And everyone agrees on morality and ethics pretty much. Like there is a little bit of a divide, but pretty much everyone kind of agrees what's right. And you know what? People right now, maybe I said it before, maybe I'm repeating myself, but people that cannot control their emotions are trying to control everyone's behavior. And you got to control your emotions. Your emotions are like the intellect. They got to be challenged and controlled. It's just a sensor. It's telling you if the temperature is hot or not. It's not for you to have a tantrum. Right? And that's why we have 15-year-old men and we also have 55-year-old kids, because it's a maturity thing. For me, it's not the way to do it. And you got to be real with your kid. You got to be real with him and show him a couple of things and show him how to think, critical thinking, ask the right questions, and you need your kid. Obviously, you want your kid to have compassion, but you have to be very, very careful. It's not only about feelings.
And also try to think of how the actual cause affects you personally before you go to the forefront, and sacrifice yourself.
Yeah.